Yo, what is up guys, it's me Zachary, and welcome to day 12 of the 2017-2018 NBA season. Is anyone actually worried about the Cleveland Cavaliers? If you are, then you must be pretty new to basketball, like this is your first year watching, or you just have short-term memory loss. Because this is nothing new for the Cavs at all. The Cleveland Cavaliers lost once again last night. I believe that is their third straight loss, and it was another pretty bad loss as well. The Cavs got blown to pieces by the New Orleans Pelicans, 123-101. Anthony Davis returned for the Pelicans after missing the last two games, and he was just Anthony Davis again. 30 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, just an average game for AD. He's gonna get at least that every time he steps onto the court. And then Cousins was doing his thing as well with a triple-double of 29 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and only 1 turnover. Cousins, kind of like Harden and Westbrook, typically picks up at least 4 to 5 turnovers per game, but to have a game like he did last night and only 1 turnover, that's really hard to do until you realize that the Cavs just aren't playing a single ounce of defense right now. See, we're used to seeing Davis and Cousins get theirs on a nightly basis regardless of what the defense is doing. And once in a while, Jrue Holiday will go off too, and those are typically the games where the Pelicans win, when you have all 3 of those guys playing at an elite level. And Holiday was playing at an elite level last night, 29 points and 7 assists. But it wasn't just Jrue Holiday. The Cavs also allowed E'Twaun Moore to do whatever he pleased on the court, as well as he hit open shot after open shot after open shot on his way to 24 points on 10 of 13 shooting. When I tell you that the Cavs weren't defending anybody, I mean they really weren't trying to defend anybody at all last night. And don't get me wrong, the Pelicans still did a really good job. They were moving the ball. There was this one play where the Pelicans passed the ball at least 8 or 9 times before finding an open Moore for the wide open corner 3. And maybe if that kind of ball movement keeps happening, they will win more games like this. So this wasn't to take away from the Pelicans, it's just to say that the Cavs really aren't playing any defense. After the game, LeBron James did say everything was fine with the Cavs. No message to pick up defensive intensity or anything, just we're fine. And look, I believe him. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Cavs right now. It's just that they're clearly not trying. They care less about the regular season. I think LeBron wouldn't mind if the Cavs finished with an A seed as long as they could just coast the entire regular season. On top of that, the Cavs are still experimenting with a bunch of different lineups. This was their 4th different starting lineup out of 6 games. So we could be seeing a lot of this for Cleveland until they finally get settled in, which might not be for a very long time considering Isaiah Thomas is still out. It's going to be a long regular season for any Cavs fans out there. Well, what did you expect from this game? A big 3 of Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook versus a big 3 of a rookie Lauri Markkanen, Robin Lopez, and Justin Holiday. Who are you picking to win this fight? The Thunder? Well, good, because you need to pick the Thunder, and that's exactly what happened. No question about it. The Thunder were going to win this game, 101-69. The only thing I have left to say about this game is that Russell Westbrook now officially has logged a triple-double against every single team in the NBA. He is the first player in NBA history to ever accomplish this. 12 points, 13 assists, and 13 rebounds for Russ. Do you guys think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid will be all-stars this year? I don't know if I will bet against it. Look, the Sixers are 2-4 on the year right now, but as strange as this might sound, I think that's a pretty good 2-4 because they have always been right there in all their games up until the very end, except for their game against the Raptors when Embiid sat out. It's just that as a young team, they have a hard time closing games out. Same thing almost happened yesterday against Dallas. Sixers had a double-digit lead in the 4th quarter, yet in the final seconds of the game, the Mavericks had a chance to tie the game up and send it to overtime. Yogi at the free throw line, Mavs down 2. He had only missed 1 free throw this year so far, and that was his first attempt. After that, he had made his last 25 free throws, but guess what? He misses the first, has to intentionally miss the second so Dallas can try and get the tip in at the buzzer. Doesn't happen, and the Sixers hold on to get the 112-110 win. Simmons and Embiid both post 23 points. Simmons also posting 8 rebounds and 7 assists to go with his 23 points. Ben Simmons, if you haven't actually watched him play yet, I'd highly recommend it. It's hard to believe that for the way he's been playing, that this is only his 6th ever NBA games. Some people will say not to think of him as a rookie since he was drafted in 2016, and this is supposed to be his second year in the league, so he's not really a rookie, but still, the dude had no in-game experience coming into this year. So how poised and just how great he has been so far, it's impressive. There's nothing you can say to take away from that. The fact that he flirts with a triple-double every single night, it's hard to believe. Even head coach of the Mavericks, Rick Carlisle, was blown away by Simmons last night. Everyone knew he was going to be good, but he's way better than expected. Some of the plays, just amazing stuff. I've got a feeling that he's about to be an all-star this year, and if so, he will be the first rookie all-star since Blake Griffin. I've been trying to tell you guys for the past couple of years that Chandler Parsons is being slept on big time. One of the most underrated players in the NBA. Check this out. The Memphis Grizzlies going up against the 5-1 Houston Rockets. And I'm just going to tell you guys the finishing stat line for the starters of the Memphis Grizzlies. And then I want you to tell me who you think won this game. Marc Gasol had 6 points. Mike Conley had 8 points. James Ennis had 8 points. Andrew Harrison had 5 points. And Jarrell Martin had 9 points. The Memphis Grizzlies starters combined for a total of 36 points. And guess what? The Grizzlies still won the game because of none other than Chandler Mr. Amaset Flames Parsons himself. 24 points in 19 minutes of play for Parsons last night. He finally earned that nearly $100 million contract that the Grizzlies gave him a couple of years ago. And this just goes to show that anyone, and I mean anyone in the NBA, can go off on any given night. If Parsons was out there cooking my Pistons like he did the Rockets last night, I'd probably have to cry myself to sleep for about the next month or two. I feel like this dude scored more points last night than he had scored in the past 2 years. Hey, it got the Grizzlies to win 103-89, and they are now 5-1 on the year. The Pistons taking on the last undefeated team in the NBA, and they were only undefeated because they hadn't met my Pistons yet. Detroit hadn't won in the Staples Center since 2010. So as you can probably guess, I was a bit pessimistic of our chances heading into this one, and I remain kind of pessimistic about our chances heading into halftime, where the Clippers had a 10-point lead behind Austin Rivers, who had 17 points at the break, and Blake Griffin, who had 14 points, I believe. However, in the second half, the Pistons became clamp gods. Literally, they stopped the Clippers from doing anything, which resulted in LA shooting only 33% from the field and turning the ball over 18 times as Detroit won for the first time in 7 years in LA with a 95-87 victory. Andre Drummond has been playing great defense ever since he was called up by Joel Embiid. 15 points, 17 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 steals for Dre last night. And Galloway was huge off the bench in the fourth quarter. He had 11 in the fourth and 13 on the night. Griffin led LA with 19 points and 11 rebounds. Jason Tatum, low-key best player of the draft so far. When he was drafted to Boston, most people weren't giving him much thought to be rookie of the year because Boston was such a good team that he might not be able to get that much playing time and touches. I'm sure part of it does have to do with him having a bigger role since they are without Hayward, but I'm just saying the dude has been pure flame so far. It was huge for Boston last night as they won their 4th in a row over the Miami Heat. Tatum with 20 points on 6 of 9 shooting. Kid is an extremely efficient scorer, averaging 15 on the year with 50% shooting from the field and 50% shooting from 3. He was huge keeping the Celtics in the game, especially since for the first 3.5 quarters, Kyrie had his jersey tucked in and couldn't do anything. But when it came down to the wire and the Celtics needed some buckets, Kyrie Irving untucked that jersey and it was game time. It was weird because I've seen it on TV so many times and I just saw it in person. I liked it. And that's what Tatum had to say about untucked clutch time Kyrie. And Kyrie just has a switch. If his team is on the verge of losing a game, that switch goes on and he just stops caring about anything else and just goes untucked Kyrie. Irving finished with 24 and 96-90 was the final score. Donovan Mitchell is exactly what the Utah Jazz need since they lost Gordon Hayward. They need a guy who is capable of scoring like he can score. He has been struggling with his shot to start the season, but he finally found it last night. Unfortunately for Lonzo Ball and the Lakers, he found it against them. Mitchell was on fire off the bench, scoring 22 points on 9 of 16 shooting, as well as stealing the ball 3 times, as the Jazz got the light work 96-81 win over LA. Rubio also had 21 for Utah, while Ingram scored 16 for the Lakers. The Suns had won their last 2 games coming into this one and had been playing like a completely different team since their first 3 games of the year. The last time these two teams met earlier this year, the Blazers won by over 40 points. This time though, it was a different story. Granted, it had the same outcome. The Blazers still won, but they had to fight hard for the W this time. It was a tough win. I'm really impressed with Phoenix. They turned their season around in a short amount of time. It is sure a different team than the one we played a week and a half ago. That's what Terry Stotts had to say about the Phoenix Suns after the game, and Phoenix is a fun young team to watch. They're competing now, so that's good, but the Blazers at this point are just obviously the better team, as Lillard and McCollum combined for 48 points to get Portland the 114-107 win. Booker scored 34 for Phoenix. That wraps up all the action from yesterday though. You guys can go vote for the player of the day by following the link down in the description box below. Just remember the only players whose team won are eligible to win player of the day. And yesterday, you guys selected Karl Anthony Towns as your player of the day with his 33 points and 19 rebounds. And that was probably one of the closest player of the day voting polls I have ever seen. Normally guys all just vote for the same player. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily NBA highlights, and stay tuned later today for the daily NBA news, but I'll see you guys then. Peace.